Love is Blind, season 10. Let's watch.
Not to throw a grenade.
I think I'm single because I haven't really found somebody that has matched my ambition and my drive.
Okay, Alley Cat. I've always kind of been the one to coach my exes and motivate them, and I want somebody that can also do that for me.
Okay, who knows, but we need like somewhere, what's between non-color and yellow? Because you got red flags, and then you've got yellow flags, right? Orange, but what's below yellow? Off-white flag that there's overfunctioning, codependency, who knows? But she's saying that with a number of her past relationships, that she was the one motivating. And now maybe it's just chance, or she's just talking about how she just is a nice person and tries to help people. Who knows?
And I want somebody that can also do that for me.
You look so pretty.
Thanks.
Oh my God.
I am a very soft, nurturing, loving person, and I present in a harder, kind of rougher way, which maybe is a way that I keep people away from me, and that's maybe a question for my therapist.
Hello, who is it?
Good morning.
All right, so some self-awareness and possible indication of therapy. I wonder how many of these cast members have been in therapy or are in therapy. Yeah, things have changed in the last 10 years, maybe even 15 years, maybe even 5 years. I don't know. The acceptance of therapy, the mainstreamness of therapy, it's wonderful.
Because I want to get into Section 8 homes, like buying them and putting Section 8 tenants in it.
Oh, I love that.
And so it's like with you being in the field that you're in, you can kind of like, we can help each other out, piggyback into that kind of thing.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm like really knowledgeable with social work and stuff like that. I was in a foster care system growing up and stuff.
Oh my gosh, I want a nonprofit group home.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was wondering, she says she's a social worker, and I wondered if they were gonna connect those dots because often people that call themselves social workers will be knowledgeable of foster care. So they're connecting on that.
My upbringing, now I grew up in West Virginia. It's like a really poverty, poor state. All my life I've been in the foster care system. My parents, they either had custody of me or that I was like in custody of the states. I was like staying with random families. I was really just like in and out of like foster care homes and like really being rotated and like being separated from my brothers.
We're getting the broad strokes. He is saying he was in and out of foster care. It also sounds like maybe he lived with his family and his parents at times. So that's a common profile, a common story that you will hear from people that say they were in foster care. Like I said earlier, at least I think I said that having been in foster care can mean a lot of things. It could mean that your parents died in a car accident when you were 16 years old and you didn't have any relatives, or you did, but it would require moving and leaving your high school, and so sometimes foster care is the answer. But anyway, so he's talking about a common profile of someone who I'm imagining due to, often it's drug abuse, not always, but it is frequent. You know, he's not saying that my parents died or something like that. So it's often drug abuse, unfortunately, and the drug abuse is almost always due to untreated trauma. And so he is talking about poverty and in and out of foster homes, yeah. Other stories that you'll hear is I was initially in foster care, but then I got adopted, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's rough. Now, foster homes, depending on what associations you have with it, run the gamut. I worked in the beginning of my career with foster homes. They were common foster homes that I would work with because by random circumstance, I would have a client that just would happen to be doing a stint in a particular foster home. And it really runs the gamut. I found that some foster homes are more like group homes where the foster parents are facilitators and are there to stabilize. They take the kids to the doctor or make sure that they get out the door to school, but they're not super warm. They're not super invested because the stints are short term. And then you have other foster homes where they take in kids long term, or they only take one kid or two kids and they plan on bonding. And so it can really run the gamut. Also, as I said earlier, I think that being in foster care, you can still have attachment ties even to your biological parents or grandparents, family. So attachment will be disrupted, but not necessarily obliterated. And the reason why I'm concerned with attachment is I learned after working with a lot of these clients, both as kids, teens, and adults that had that history, that when it comes to attachment, research shows that when you have significant attachment disruption and injury, particularly in the first 5 years of life, maybe even the first couple of years of life, then you are more likely to exhibit a lot of issues later in life. Now, we don't know his very early history. We don't know how much treatment he's been through, blah, blah, blah. So we can't say anything about him. But for the average person who has been through that history, they will have attachment injuries that will result in them having various different attachment reactions that are, that shoot themselves in the foot. They will either be very, very distant in a way. Like I had a client that was adopted very early in life, like at 18 months or something, and in all likelihood, we don't know, but the first 18 months of his life, in all likelihood, he wasn't developing any sort of attachment. So he was in those critical months left alone, or a series of nurses, this kind of thing. And as a teen and as an adult, he was a good person. He was caring in a sense, but when he got close to people, his parents, for example, he came across like he just didn't really care. He wasn't a psychopath. He wasn't antisocial, but he didn't ever really get that neurological association that we need to have certain things present during those windows, seemingly, developmental windows, that we learn that other people matter to us, that we need them, they need us, that enjoyment of eye contact and closeness and warmth and intimacy. Now, if you have an adult who is seemingly cold, it can be due to this, or it could be due to a whole other slew of things. So it's not like if your partner is a little cold, you're like, oh, I know why, because Kirk said, so there's a lot of reasons why. But the problem, though, with this kind of attachment and developmental disruption is that therapy doesn't necessarily rewind the clock. We can help people with a lot of things in therapy, like with PTSD or complex PTSD. We can absolutely treat that to the point where 10 years down the road, the symptoms might be completely gone, depending. But when it comes to this sort of thing, I learned the hard way that we can't necessarily go back in time and rewire those connections in the brain. So we have to figure out what to do to have workarounds, or how to accommodate, or how to help them live a life where they get their needs met, how to help their family members, their partners understand what the differences are there. I'm not saying anything about him. I'm trying to remember his name, Edmund, but I'm just saying that's why we're concerned and why it's so important that we help people with trauma, particularly young parents, first-time parents, so that this cycle doesn't happen over and over again where they have to turn to drugs to regulate and cope and live, and then they have kids and, da-da-da.
When I was in the custody of my parents, whenever they got us back for like 2 months or 3 months or however long it was just, would you be back out of their home because of something that they did? And well, I would say now, though, just the best my parents have ever been. I talk to them regularly.
Yeah, okay. So he's giving a little bit more detail, and I'm glad that he's drawing a boundary about what he says, not only just in the pods, but also on camera. I'm guessing there's a lot to say that he could say there. Usually when I hear this, of course, I wouldn't assume anything without hearing the data, but usually it's due to drug addiction, and usually that's because of trauma.
Well, I would say now, though, just the best my parents have ever been. I talk to them regularly. I love them so much.
Yeah.
There's no remorse. It definitely made me into the man that I am now. And that's
interesting phrasing, no remorse. I think he means no ill will, no anger, about his, let's see, rewind that.
Although this is the best my parents have ever been, I talk to them regularly. I love them so much.
Yeah.
There's like no remorse. Like it definitely made me into the man that I am now.
Yeah, I mean, people use words differently, but by context, I think he's saying that he's forgiven them, or what's in the past is in the past, and he has a good relationship with his bio parents, which is great. I'm guessing that so I have no idea, of course, but if I heard this, usually what I would hear is that the parents went through recovery and are now sober.
My life was saved by a teacher, like my 5th grade teacher.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah. So I'm not trying.
I might cry. So he's tearing up thinking about his 5th grade teacher who saved his life, as he's saying. Yeah. Yeah, I think I might have said earlier that when it comes to these difficult situations for kids, it's not necessarily going to cause the kinds of problems that we see later in life if they have people in their life that are there for them, that show them that they are worthy of love and that there is someone that they can depend on. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about attachment. One of the main rules of the world that we learn when we have good enough parenting anyway is when we go through that, we learn that we're worthy of love, that we're a good person, and that other people are trustworthy and also worthy of love, right? That they'll be there, that they will show up, that they won't leave us, they won't hurt us. Those are important lessons to learn. When kids are not given that opportunity to, generally speaking, learn that lesson, then you could imagine as an adult that things would not work out well. If you can't trust others, if you overinterpret indications of harm or betrayal or threat, then there are overreactions from us. If we don't believe we're worthy of love, then we might as well not try, or we self-sabotage, or we say, here it goes again, or whatever, so it's really important that particularly young kids, 0 to 5, are shown consistently that they're loved, that they matter, and that other people can be depended on.
I cried.
No, it's okay. I want to hear about it.
Yeah. I'm getting better with my emotions and stuff. Like I think like just growing up, like you gotta be tough and like don't cry. But now like I'm getting better with crying. Like it's not.
Yeah, and I can't tell you how many clients in my early career when I worked with foster kids would be that way. And I understood, right? That, yeah, you got to be tough. You don't have time for emotions. You're still working on the lowest tiers of the Maslow's hierarchy, safety and food and that sort of thing. You don't have time for emotions or for emotional awareness or support or vulnerability or relationships even. And as a therapist, it would get frustrating because I would be asking questions and trying to lead by example or create a space where they could talk, and it was just so hard for them. And then when there were glimpses of it, it would be hard for them to sustain that, which again, I understand. But I had the privilege of working with some of these kids into adulthood and would find that this transition would happen. And in all likelihood, we all have a lot of sadness and pain, and therefore there's going to be a lot of crying. But for people like Edmund, there's a lot of reasons to cry, and there might be a lifetime worth of crying about his childhood, both not only the pain, but also remembering the joy that he feels now, looking back on this 5th grade teacher that saved his life.
Nothing wrong with crying.
At all. You're more of a man if you cry, if you ask me. It's okay, love. I wish I could hold you and hug you.
Yeah, it was healthy. I don't know if I showed this clip, but he said that he hasn't told anyone in the pods that he was a foster kid. He volunteered that with Calibria because she mentioned that she's a social worker and works in that sort of area. And so he volunteered that. So he isn't, I think, accustomed, at least in the pods anyway, to talking about this sort of thing. And yeah, it's great. Now, I guess the Love is Blind reaction video question that we would have is this setting up some kind of dynamic, one-directional dynamic of support? There's no indication of that. All I'm seeing is health. But, we'll keep an eye on that.
Okay, babe. It's okay. Yeah, I appreciate you being able to sit here and be vulnerable with me through this.
And her reaction is perfect. Just perfect. Or there's various different reactions one could have. But I will say that her tone, her approach here is very similar to the approach. Of course, when I have clients, I'm not dating them. So there's not, and also I'm a guy, so I don't have that kind of maternal energy that she has in this moment. But the general approach is what I do, which is I'm there, but I'm not overly there. I'm not crumbling. I'm not like it's not freaking me out. I'm not like, oh my God, let me help you, or I'm there. I'm witnessing. I care, but I'm also not being super quiet and observant or avoidant or something. So how do you do that, right? How do you stay in contact without ruining it for you? Because that's the other thing. Like, I don't know if you've ever been through this. If you've been crying, or you're in therapy, or you're talking to your partner or something, and you just want to cry. You just want to you want to really, really cry. And people will say, it's okay, or they don't know what to do. And it makes it hard for you. What we want, especially if we're okay with our crying, which it seems like Edmund is, at least to some extent, often we just want to cry, and we want someone to love us, to care, to be there. We don't want them to fix. We don't want them to run away. We don't want them to make it about themselves. We don't want them to ask us questions. And she's doing all the great things.
Back while we're out grocery shopping, sexy. Like, you want to come to my salon and help me clean up after work, and we lock the door. Sexy.
I hear you. Okay. What's the craziest place you've ever done it?
On a balcony on vacation, zero inhibitions.
That's really fun. I love when you can just block everything out.
All right, that might be the first time we've heard that question on this show, I think. Where's the strangest place you've ever had sex? I think most people, most men in particular, would be threatened by even the idea that someone they're dating has had sex before. That's a thing. When we're attracted to people, depending on your style of approaching these sorts of things, people might not want to know that information. They might be acknowledging that, this person I'm dating has had sex before, but in all likelihood, but I don't want to visualize it in my head, or, there's various different. So, there's a lot of range there. But I guess the question I have, given that we can't stereotype that, I wonder if he's not that into her. I've been watching for a while, and we've already had a couple that is engaged. It was Allie and Anton. They seem really cute together, but I never know on this, But yeah, I think they often will start with the most healthy couple because, they shoot 10 days of pod stuff, and then they'll extract the footage of a particular couple and front load it, I think, to remind us that it's real in that way, or to give us hope for others, or I don't know. But Nick is a luxury watch dealer, which gives us vibes of, what was that guy's name? It was Leo, right? Giving us Leo vibes, but not really though, right? But there was the way he mentioned that he deals in expensive watches. It just, I don't know. So I'll just say, I have no idea. But with Nick, they've been showing a fair amount of him because I think they're gearing up maybe to a proposal. I'm not sure. That there's something different about him. That could mean nothing. And I can't read the future. I can't read minds. But I'll just say that there seems to be it's a flippantness around it. So I don't know if that's just how he is, and he's not very typical in the way that he presents in that way. I don't know if I showed it, but he said that he doesn't like traditional gender roles. So maybe he's just a free spirit. But there's other possibilities, shenanigans, fakery, not really here genuinely, or immaturity. There was a couple others that I wrote down that seemed a little immature. And, that word immature or immaturity is obviously subjective, but there's a lot of different meanings to it. What I'm meaning is a childlike approach, a naive approach to the seriousness of the situation. There seems to be a couple or more of the guys that are this way. Also, I think some of the women. And it's probably just a cultural thing. I'm probably just not accustomed, or I don't know, the way that they talk. There's also a fair amount of emotional distance, particularly by Megan W. She was talking about how her parents were distant and conflict avoidant, and she doesn't want to be the same. I don't know if I reacted to that footage. I've been taking notes. Anyway, so we're now watching these two, which I wrote down their names. It's Nick and I forget the other woman's name.
That, like, if you're really feeling it and you just reach over at me and you're like, I need you, like, right now. I'm like, I have the sex drive to be there. I'm even getting a little turned on over here just saying that.
Okay, I love that.
Is that carpet still wet over there?
Listen,
Is it getting drier or wetter? Like a towel?
it is soaked. Like, it's a problem.
Flirting. And I think sometimes people get blasted, particularly women, when they will flirt in this way. I think because of slut shaming. I don't know what the crowd is being influenced by. But yeah, they're dating. And that's a part of it for a lot of them. And how do you get that going? And also without talking about it, right? Because normally if you're dating, you would kiss and hug and, But it's also normal when you are romantically attracted to someone to start feeling some lust. And so it's also maybe a way of trying to gather the vibe. Is there chemistry there verbally or something? It does make you wonder, though, if what you miss out on when you don't get to see each other. Not just attractiveness, but the physical chemistry that you can have with people that you wouldn't necessarily even visually be attracted to.
Here's a riddle. What gets drier and wetter at the same time? It's the carpet underneath Annie.
I'm actually on the couch, so it's different.
All right. I'm gonna be.
I mean, I don't know if I showed this bit, but she spilled her water on accident, and now they're making lubrication jokes.
Nick, you should.
You gave me a lot to get bothered by. This question on here, it's like, what is one thing you wish you could wake up and gain tomorrow? And I'm like, an extra inch.
I'm dead. That was funny.
It is funny, and good for him that he can. I don't know.
I can tell a few jokes.
And I'm like, listen, man, a bigger isn't always better. Like, it's fine.
Don't worry, I got a chode. It's like really short, but like super wide.
Hey, but you're not supposed to talk about your appearance, and he just broke one of the cardinal rules. I mean, at least she knows what one part of him looks like, and now we do too.
Ed, what is you doing? What the fuck are you doing?
Okay, so from the looks of it, Edmund is relaxing, I think, and he started to, I think, blow on the floor, like get his mouth puffy, if you will, and then he started kissing the floor, and he's laughing. He could be intoxicated. Somehow I hope he's intoxicated. But I don't. There's nothing to say really about that.
Oh man, I feel good. You got your mouth on this floor? Oh, fuck you.
There's been nastier places.
Your immune system gotta go crazy.
I'm be getting sick often.
Wow.
Dang, it feel good kissing something right now too, bro. I ain't kissing.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was that he misses physical contact. He misses his people or something. Or he's longing to be with the person that he likes.
nothing in so long.
Big question that one of the guys.
I'm thinking, well, if you're doing it and no one notices, and then someone notices, you would think he would stop. But of course, he's being filmed, and he knows that. And who knows? I'm trying to remember a time other than the first season where a cast member was. Well, no, there are, but we have to remember that there's a lot of alcohol around, and it doesn't take much to get a little silly. And when you have 32 people who, at some point in the day or the week, a little bit intoxicated or a lot, then you're going to see some anomalous behavior. All right, well, my interest has been piqued. Is that the phrase? So tune in next time when I continue watching, and everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.